Step into the shadowy realms of the unknown, where reality blurs with the supernatural, and a chilling tale of terror awaits. In the hushed corridors of Nancy's youth, a spine-tingling saga unfolded, one that continues to haunt her memories even now. Join us on a journey back to Nancy's time in grade 8, a time when adolescence was dawning, and she was just 14 years old. Little did she know that this pivotal year would usher in a series of eerie events that would cast a long, dark shadow over her family's life. Prepare to be captivated, for the inexplicable awaits, lurking in the corners of this bone-chilling narrative. Welcome to Eerie Encounters and Hauntings. We are thrilled to have you join us for 2 new spine-tingling tales of the paranormal each week, stories that will make you shiver with fear and keep you on the edge of your seat. From haunted houses to possessed objects, we have the most bone-chilling tales of the supernatural. Get ready for a terrifying journey into the unknown with our bone-chilling episodes featuring blood-curdling stories that will send shivers down your spine. So hit that like button, share the horror with your friends, and subscribe to our channel. This story will make shiver and fright. This is entitled Haunted by Tikbalang and Ghostly Apparitions, a terrifying true tale. This was shared by Nancy, who's from Benguet. There was a story that happened in the quiet times of their youth that still gives them chills after all these years. This scary story starts when Sarah, Mark, and Emily were 14 years old, in 8th grade. It was the start of a string of scary events that would follow them for years. The family had just moved into a simple 2-story apartment that was tucked between 2 other homes and had a scary-looking roof over the living room. Their neighbors had been talking about a scary past that was buried under the ground where their new home was built. They said it had been a cemetery in the past, a place where the dead were buried. It sent chills down their spines to think that their house was built on things so bad. As you walked into the creepy house, you saw a small staircase going up to the right. At the top of the stairs, there were 2 doors. There were 2 doors. One went to their uncle's room, and the other to their grandparents' room. The way the house was set up meant that their uncle's room had a single sofa facing the door. This was an important detail that would soon become clear as their strange story unfolded. As the night fell and darkness fell over the flat, their fear grew. As they walked down the hall to their room, they couldn't get away from the ghostly figure that kept appearing in their peripheral vision. Every night, an ethereal woman who looked like a pale ghost showed up, defying the world of the living. At first, they thought it was just a figment of their teenage imaginations or a sign that their minds were working too hard. Still, as the nights went on, they kept seeing this mysterious ghost, which made them even more scared. The turning point came when Sarah's grandmother's sister came to visit and decided to sleep in their uncle's room. During the witching hour, she let out a scared scream and swore she saw a ghostly woman pacing outside their uncle's room window. Her story, along with their own strange events, made them realize something very scary. Their fears were not just in their heads. As they go to their school, the story takes a scary turn. Their school would soon become a center of fear. Since their 8th grade classes finished late in the afternoon, they often got home after dark. Their school was tucked away in a scary-looking forest with tall trees and thickets, a natural hideaway for darkness and mystery. Right next to their classroom building was a brand new building that looked very normal at first glance but was hiding a dangerous secret. They and their friends always used this building to get back home because it had a passageway that led off campus. Then, one day full of evil, the bad things that had been sneaking into their lives changed in a scary way. They were gripped by a fever that they at first thought was just a temporary illness. As the fever went on, the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into a terrifying month. Its constant grip left them on the verge of exhaustion, a shadow of the people they used to be and barely holding on to life. At this very bad time, Sarah's grandma decided to do something because she had strong beliefs in the supernatural. She chose to put them through a traditional Filipino ceremony called pagtatawas, which is a scary ceremony only done in very bad situations. They were covered in fear on a night that was pouring with rain and heavy with the weight of what they didn't know. When the pagtatawas started, they felt a deep sense of dread. A realization came to them in the flickering candlelight and the chanting of old spells that would stay with them forever. They found out during the ritual that they weren't the only ones who were suffering. A bad spirit, called a Tikbalang, had attached itself to them. This spirit lived on the grounds of their school. They now knew that the thing they had seen in their uncle's room in the middle of the night was part of their haunting group. The person who practiced Pagtatawa said something scary. The female ghost in the Tikbalang wanted their living bodies and wanted to take them over for bad reasons. As they thought about the terrible effects of this news, panic shot through their bodies. They were desperate to protect themselves from these evil beings, so the practitioner told them to carry a piece of garlic in their pockets as a charm against them and a rosary to keep them from coming near. Even though the ritual was over, the scary things had just started. They started a trip to find out where the evil forces that had been after them came from while they were on the edge of two worlds, one ruled by the normal and the other by the supernatural. They looked for answers that were hidden deep in the history of the area by reading old stories. They found out that the Tikbalang was not a normal thing. Filipino legend says it was a monster that was half horse and half human and lived in the countryside. The Tikbalang seemed to be very interested in their lives because their school was in the middle of a natural forest, which was a good place for this kind of creature to live. The female ghost that visited their uncle's room was harder to find, but they heard rumors of a tragedy that had happened nearby. It was said that a young woman had died tragically near their flat, her life cut short in her prime. She seemed to have decided to stay, as if she were tied to their home by an invisible thread. Now that they knew more about the mysterious beings that were making their lives a living nightmare, they set out to solve the riddles surrounding them. They went deeper into the heart of darkness with the garlic and the rosary with them. The supernatural experiences got scarier and happened more often, making people feel more vulnerable. The female ghost, which had only been a vague image in their periphery vision before, started to show itself more clearly. Her ghostly form moved around the flat, reminding everyone of the terrible thing that had happened to her. One terrible night, as they lay awake in their room's heavy silence, a sudden chill hit the air. The room got darker, but the moonlight that came in through the curtains lit it up. In the corner of their eyes, they could make out her shape, which was both hauntingly beautiful and clearly evil. Her eyes were like two obsidian orbs, completely emotionless and human. She moved toward them with an otherworldly ease. Fear made them stand still as they watched her get closer, her ghostly lips letting out a cold breath. It was still unclear what she was trying to do, but the feeling of fear that filled the room said a lot. Then, with renewed resolve, they held on to the garlic and rosary, calling on the power they held to protect them. As the ghostly figure backed away, the air cracked with a strange energy, and a piercing wail of pain echoed through the room. It was only a temporary win, a break from the never-ending search for the supernatural. The Tikbalang they met also turned out to be very dangerous. The thing, which used to be happy to stay in the shadows, started to take on more real forms. On their way to and from school, they could feel its presence. It was like a ghostly figure appeared at the edge of their vision, a bad spirit waiting just beyond the veil of reality. They could feel its heavy eyes on them, like it was pressing against their very souls. Even though garlic and the rosary were powerful defenses, they didn't help against the evil entity's relentless chase. They felt like they were players in a supernatural game of chess, with the Tikbalang always being the enemy. As the weeks went by, their lives changed into a dangerous dance with the unknown. The flat, which used to be a safe place, had turned into a battlefield where supernatural forces and the weak defenses of scared teens fought each other. As their family became more and more desperate, they turned to a local healer for help. The shaman did practices to get rid of any evil spirits that were living in the apartment and asked for help from good spirits to keep the Tikbalang and the angry ghost away. Even though the shaman tried to stop them, the supernatural events kept happening. It looked like the task had made the entity stronger, and they had a tighter grip on their lives. Their lives were like a nightmare. Every day was filled with fear and every night was filled with terror. The never-ending pain finally stopped when their family chose to move to a new home far away from the evil entities. The apartment went away, leaving behind its dark history and scary residents. It was only a ghost of the horrible things that had happened there in the past. As they tell this scary story, the memories still weigh heavily on them, a chilling warning of the evil forces that live in the world's shadows. Not only do they tell this story to talk about the supernatural, but they also do it to warn others that the line between the normal and the supernatural is much thinner than anyone would think. The creatures that hurt them, the Tikbalang and the angry ghost, are a scary reminder of the power of the unknown. They warn them that in the darkest parts of their world, forces they can't even imagine may be waiting to trap the innocent and throw them into a world of never-ending terror. Before you go into the mysterious, you should pay attention to the scary story that has been told. Keep an eye out, because you never know when you might get caught in a web of evil forces, a prisoner of the unexplainable, or a witness to the terrible horrors that are just beyond the edge of your understanding. As this part of their lives comes to an end, the scary nights they spent together still haunt them. They remember how mysterious their world is by the magical forces that once had them trapped. But each day that goes by, the darkness goes away and the fear weakens. They tell this story not to make people afraid, but to show how strong the human spirit can be when faced with things that can't be explained. Please remember that even in the darkest places, there is always a glimmer of light, a bit of hope that gets us through the night. If this video left you spellbound, dive deeper into the world of chilling tales by joining our channel, Eerie Encounters and Hauntings. Access a treasure trove of bone-chilling stories waiting for you with new episodes 2 times a week. Spread the fear among your friends and family who crave a good scare and give them goosebumps. We'd love to hear your spine-tingling experiences as well, so don't hesitate to share them in the comments. You can also send us your story so we can feature it in one of our future episodes. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Stay scared. Disclaimer: this video is for entertainment purposes only. The stories depicted in this video are shared by people who believe they are true, but they have not been verified. Any resemblance to real people or events is purely coincidental. The views and opinions expressed in this video are those of the people who shared the stories and do not necessarily reflect the views of YouTube, Google, or Facebook. The channel does not endorse the views expressed in this video. This video is not intended to be used as evidence of any supernatural or paranormal activity. If you are experiencing paranormal activity, please contact a qualified professional.